I hope you had a chance to listen to the last 4 or 5 segments, which was the RPM segment. That's the results, the purpose, the massive action, and it's about daily accountability and going through and trying to hit your goals. That's the results, purpose, and massive action. That is the seminar series that I went through, and we're going to get into a little bit, one more step into that. After going through that segment of the blueprint, here is the next step that we do, and I want to kind of get a little bit deeper on this podcast. So I'll see you on the inside.
Welcome.
Attention, please.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome to the No Comfort Zone podcast. It's time to get out of your comfort zone and live on purpose. Broadcasting to the world from Rockford, Illinois. This is your wake-up call.
Warning.
You are the solutions to all your problems. Stop thinking average. Become the hero version of yourself. Every day, every time, without fail, no exceptions. It all matters. You've entered the No Comfort Zone. It's time for a reality check.
Hey, welcome back, and I appreciate you being patient with me as we get through these podcasts. I've got a little bit of feedback in person, actually. Some people came by to see me over the past couple of months to give me their opinion of the podcast. Greatly appreciate that. I really do sincerely appreciate the feedback, and as my commitment to continue to do the podcast, I really do appreciate the feedback. So do me a favor. If you see it on Apple iTunes, if you're catching it there, do me a favor. Put a like, put a review, 5-star review. That would be great. Put a comment, what you get out of the show, what you like, what you don't like. That would be even okay too. I've only got 20 reviews. I'd love to get a couple hundred. So if you could, please give me a review. I'll tell you why it's important. There are people that listen to this podcast that have told me that it's helped them get through some adverse times. There are people that are going through adversity right now that have listened to the podcast that said that it made the difference. And whether it's 1 or 2, 5, 12, a couple of hundred, because I think we're reaching about 30,000. I'll have to check my analytics and see, but and I'll come up with a number on the next podcast. I'll actually check the analytics, but it means a lot to me when I hear that, because the whole reason I do this podcast is to reach out to people that have gone through adversity. They're going through adversity, that have just gotten out of adversity, and I want to help them get out of that average, risk a little bit more, live a little bit more, find some happiness, find some joy in their life so they can keep moving forward to become the ideal version of themselves. So quite frankly, so that they can help somebody else. And that's where their purpose is going to be. Those lessons learned are the reason why they're still here. As you know, my story, I've gone through some adversity, some self-inflicted adversity. I got through it, and I must have 10 lives. And by the grace of God, I'm still here. I'm still at it every single day, and I don't know why some days, but other days, and maybe it's because of this podcast, I'm still here because I'm still trying to help the next guy who's going through some challenges, and that's why I do this podcast. So let's get into it. That series was designed to give you a glimpse into a seminar that I used to do, kind of. And it's when I was doing the seminar for a business side of what I do through retail automobile sales and teaching business ethics and teaching salespeople how to sell and managers how to lead. I took segments of that when I was going through a part of my life where I felt I was average or below average, or I was afraid to risk anything anymore based on what I've went through in my life. I just wanted to make it. I just didn't want to go through any more adversity. I mean, I was beaten to a point where I was confined to average. And I just said to myself, man, I'm not going to do this anymore. I wanted to wake up and I wanted to start living my life. I wanted to get out of my shell and I wanted to start risking more, but I was terrified on what to do next. So I went through my mindset. I went through the story, and I'll do that in another podcast. We'll catch up back onto that later, but I want to wrap this up, and I'll do that in some of the next series. But I do want to wrap this up and go, I actually got to a point where I said to myself, I've got to risk a little bit more and in order for me to live my life. And when I started taking these risks, maybe they were not so calculated in the beginning, but I dissected who I was. I started to decode the version of me that I was. And by doing that, I could create an ideal version of myself and I could strive to be that person. And in doing so, I created the blueprint. And I knew that the person I wanted to be was the RPM part of it, the results, the purpose, and the massive action. And when I kept going more and more towards that, my life got a little bit better. I was able to risk a little bit more. I was able to achieve a little bit more, and slowly but surely, as you crawl, you walk, you run, and then I was sprinting. And it was in a short time period. It was about 90 days that everything changed for me. And that was a huge part of it. But then I wanted to take things to another level. I wanted to risk things on a greater level. And that's when life got magical. And that's when a couple other people, not many, but a couple other people who I took on that journey with me got some good results. But then shortly thereafter, I had other people reaching out saying, hey, I knew you when you were this. How'd you do it? How'd you get sober? How'd you get back into your position? How'd you rise above? How did you get there? And that's when I took some people on a little bit of a journey. And it's really the No Comfort Zone blueprint. And here's a few things that I talk about after somebody's either gone through the seminar, or here's what I do. Organization has gone through some stuff. I did some keynote events in one of the local chambers of commerce. And when people would call me up afterwards and ask me how to deal with situations in their organization, or how do I deal with an employee, some of the things I would talk about, I started to write down or document. And these are some of the stuff I went through. So I'll share them with you on this podcast. And the other segments were about 40 minutes. We're already a few minutes into this, and I'm not going to make these very long, and I'll shorten the segments up a little bit. Let me know your feedback on that. You can always hit me up, dan@thenocomfortzone.com. I appreciate the emails. You want to hit me up on a text, 773-220-0938. Please shoot me a text, 773-220-0938, or shoot me a review. Greatly appreciate it. Or even on YouTube or wherever else you catch this podcast. Please let me know what you think. Longer, shorter, what content, greatly appreciate it. I've got a ton of ideas. I've got about the next quarter filled up. But if there's anything you want me to add or take away, let me know, and we can fit it in. I have somebody that wants to work on the production of this so I can stay consistent, which is pretty exciting. But in the end, I am a pretty busy guy just like you. But again, the goal of this is to help you get out of average, get through the adversity, learn from the lessons of the adversity that you've already been through, and become the ideal version of yourself. And I can't say that enough. Don't waste those lessons that you've had, the adversity that you've gone through, so that you can become better. And here are a few things that I want you to think about. At the end of the day, what I want you to consider is you got to reflect on your day. Grab a journal. I said it in my last podcast back in September, if you're counting or keeping track or score. List 3 things, 3 actions. It's so important you take the actions that you took today that align with your goals, that are going to help you stay ahead. What are the goals that you wrote down? So, one, you have to know your goals. That's what it's all about. And now that we're in January, because this thing's going to post probably, I think, the early part of January, you have to know what your goals are. Then you have to reflect now at this point, what have you done today? 3 things, actions that you took today that align with your goals. Just reflect on it. It's not a big deal. And if you did nothing, it's okay. At least you took the time now. That's one action step. I took the time now to realize that I did nothing. It's one step, and then write it down. I mean, just have a win. Just take a win. Try to find a way to have a win. Time efficiency check. We discuss how to utilize your time. You got to check out what percentage of the day was spent on high impact tasks. There's impactful and there's important. There's 2 very different things you got to look at. What distracts you on a regular basis? Whether you're writing a book, whether you're looking to get a promotion, whether you're trying to hit your sales quota, your daily activities, what's distracting you from the impactful things? Listen, if you're listening to this podcast in California, Texas, India, Australia, Germany, Australia, I think I said that already, Austria, China, wherever, India, wherever you're listening to this podcast, you're probably consuming this somewhere, and you're probably a busy person. At least that's the demographics that I'm going for. You're busy, you're just stuck in average in some way, shape, or form, wherever you're at, or you want more out of life. You got to ask yourself a question. How did you use your time today? What did you do? Did you just do a lot of important things that made you feel like you were doing something? Or did you do impactful things? Well, for tomorrow, what I want you to do is I want you to write down 3 things. Literally, write down 3 things that are going to be impactful. You're not going to put your head in that pillow until you did these 3 impactful things. They can be small and impactful. They don't have to change the world, but they have to be impactful towards your goals, whatever your goals are. And hey, tough guy, listen to this. If you don't have your goals written down, now's a good time to do it. Write out your goals. It's 2025. Write out your goals. If you've gone through the seminar series, figure it out what your purpose is in life. And if you don't know, talk to your friends. Find a mentor. Hit me up, Dan at the No Comfort Zone. We can figure something out. We can go through the blueprint. But it's so important that you start reaching and trying to figure out, pray and meditate. What is your purpose here? What are you supposed to do? You're supposed to help other people. How are you going to do that? And it's okay. It is okay. It is okay to help other people from the pain and suffering that you've went through. That's why you went through it. Believe you me, the reward is amazing because of the pain and suffering and the forgiveness in your heart that you've gone through and that you've endured. To be able to forgive somebody else, to learn that lesson and move forward, it is absolutely, it's the key to happiness in life, is to be able to work hard, to forgive somebody else, to take the lessons that you've learned and apply that. But you got to ask yourself, what are the impactful things that you've either done today or that you're going to do tomorrow that you are going to complete no matter what? What are those things? And that's what I talk to people about when they call me up and when we have those conversations. I do it with the people that I work with. I do it myself. At the end of the day, what are the impactful things that I've done? What do I need to get done? What are those things? And it's not a to-do list. I'm talking about major impactful stuff that's going to help you get to your goals. Energy management. So if you want more mental energy, physical energy, spiritual energy, I just want to share this with you. You're going to have to literally, if you want more physical energy, you're going to have to get physical, meaning you're going to have to exercise. If you want more spiritual energy, you're going to have to practice spiritual energy. What does that mean? You're going to have to learn how to meditate. You're going to have to pray. You're going to have to take time in solitude and reflect and do the things that you need to do to get that energy level up. There's a physics law there that, a little bit in, a little bit out, lot in, lot out. You have to understand that you're going to have to start doing that. And I ask, what's your energy level at? That's another part of the blueprint. We talk about the 4 E's. And a huge part is, what's your energy level at? And if you're a dead battery, you can't help anybody else. If there's a spark there, well, we got to ignite that spark into a flame. And that flame needs to turn into a blowtorch. And that blowtorch then needs to turn into a laser. And when you have that, it needs to turn into a massive explosion. And when that fire is burning and it's burning bright, it's going to bring a lot of people around. And when there's a lot of people around, that's when you're going to make a big impact and you're going to be a positive influence on people. And that's what we're looking to do, is to create you from your adversities, your trials, and your tribulations. We're going to turn that into an opportunity for you to be an influence in a positive way on people. And that's what you're here for. So, diet and recovery, we talk about that. What are you doing to optimize your day when it comes to the fuel you're putting in your body? Mindset check-in. We look at people's mental state and we ask them the questions. Were you focused and positive? Did you fall into anger? Did you fall into stress? What setbacks did you have? Did you say the wrong things? Did you do the wrong things because of how you were feeling? Did you let your feelings run rampant? Or did you take your mind and did you control it? Did you stop it from where it was going, and then did you move forward after you had a chance to reflect? And if not, jot it down. What can you do tomorrow that's going to make it better? We also look at habits and routines. What are your routines? 85% of us are on autopilot any. It's got to be a pattern interrupt. When you're doing the wrong thing, interrupt the pattern, make things happen and go the right way. Just certain things that we talk about after knowing what results you want, what's your purpose here, and what massive action or what massive distractions do you have because there's a lot of habits that are out there that are just absolutely distractions. And what routines do you need to change? Getting up early was a huge problem for me. I don't want that to be a huge problem for you. In the first part of the day, 2.5 hours of the day, you can accomplish everything that you need to achieve all of your goals in the first 2.5 hours of the day. Yeah, we can explain more about that. That's like next level stuff. But in 2.5 hours of the day, you can change your life completely in a 90-day period. That's like going deep into the no comfort zone. Again, if you have questions on that, hit me up, Dan at the No Comfort Zone. And if you've gone through a no comfort zone, and if you've done that with me, if we've gone deep into that, hit me up or put a review up there on what your experience was. I think people would like to hear about that. This is an interesting one. Competitor analysis. What are you doing to either eliminate the competition or have an edge over your competition? Listen, there are certain things that you need to know that you are competing against yourself. And what edge do you need to do to trick yourself to get an edge over yourself to move forward? You have competitors everywhere you go. It might be in business. It might be something that happened to you in the past. You just have to know, if you do a competitor analysis, the goal at the end of this 90-day period, the goal is to have no competitors anymore. You are your own competition. But for right now, who are you trying to beat? Who's that one person you're trying to prove wrong? Who's the one person you're trying to prove right? Who is the person that fuels the fire within you to be successful? Let's do more of that. Let's think about that. Let's write that person down. Let's put that figurine. Let's put that idea in front of you of who is the person you're trying to beat. Matt McConaughey said it best. I'm trying to beat the person I am 5 years from now. That's the person that he's chasing. That's the person who he wants to beat. The person who's going to be 5 years from now. I liked it. I took it. I ran with it. I think you should do the same. I said this earlier, but micro wins and improvement. You're going to focus on small incremental wins. And when you have a small incremental win, write it down. And how can you improve that the next day? Just by 1%. You got to look at your long-term visions. This is the next one. Your long-term is what you're doing every minute and every moment, focused on the long term. Then the next one is challenges and adaptations. So discuss any challenges that you face today. How would you adapt, and what lessons would you learn from adversities in the next steps? I have this written down because it's a lot and I'm reading it off my phone. But the reality is when I have a discussion with somebody, there's a banter back and forth. And it's a little hard to do it on a podcast. I should probably have somebody on this podcast that's actually gone through it so we can actually have the conversation. But I'll just ask you, the listener, whoever you're from, this would be like a friend of mine that I recently saw, Josh. Josh is in real estate. Josh is, in my opinion, loving father, good dad, a very positive person. I would say that, what we know what your goals are. You want to be more ambitious. You want to spend more time with your family. The goal is to create more capital, create a greater clientele list, have a better connection. Not a better connection, but I would say just have a deeper connection, in all aspects, business, family, parenting, and everything. You just want to be better at everything across the board. What did you do yesterday that helped you in all those areas? That's what I would ask anybody that I work with. I would ask you, the listener, what did you do? And if you didn't do anything, let's talk about that. If you did do something in that area, how would it impact tomorrow and the next day? And just for example, what if you had a blueprint and you did document it and you kept track of it, and over a 90-day period, you just worked at a few things continually that were just a little bit uncomfortable. I'm going to ask you, would you be a little bit different at the end of a 90-day period? You sure bet you would. And depending on your level of intensity and your ability to get out of your comfort zone, getting up a little bit earlier, taking on bigger tasks first thing in the morning to get those out of the way, increasing if you're in sales, your call volume, increasing your workload, getting things done in a shorter amount of time period with higher quality work, practice, drilling, rehearsing, work things, focusing on your goals, working on your diet and exercising in a shorter amount of time period, but being consistent so it's sustainable. How would you be after 90 days? Well, I can tell you this. You'd lose the weight. You'd make more money. You'd have better connections with your family. You'd repair relationships. You'd have deeper meaning in your life. More than likely, you'd probably stop drinking. You would probably have a better spiritual connection. In addition to that, and then some, you'd probably feel better about yourself. And more importantly, people that are having problems would have access to you. And that's what I'm talking about when we talk about the No Comfort Zone Blueprint. That's it in a nutshell. And that would pretty much end the Results, Purpose, and Massive Action seminar series. That's what it comes down to. So if I were to, like when I would do a keynote or when I do the seminar series, this would happen, it's over time. It's either been like an afternoon, like 2.5 hours. We would go through it with 2 breaks, I think. I think that's about right. It's been a while, but we would go through this. And at the end of it, there's a part of the seminar series where we talk about the very end of it. This is kind of like, behind the scenes, but the very end of it is win. What's important now? And that's where we leave it. So I ask you, the listener, you're sitting in your life right now and you're average. You're average. If you're listening to this podcast, you're average. I hate to say that. I'm average too, guys. I'm at a point in my life right now where, I'm at the bottom of the next mountain. I've achieved a lot of my personal goals. I'm going for my next goals, and I am at the bottom. I'm looking at my goals right now that I just wrote out. I've got a dry erase board. I got the license plate frames from my No Comfort Zone that's on my car. I've got my Rocky poster. I've got my Godfather poster. I got my dry erase boards. I'm in my little studio that says on air. I got my lights on in the studio, and it's just me here talking to you. I've got goals, but I've got to tell you this. Based on where I was a while back and based on where I'm going, I'm average, just like you. There's no problem in that. My mentality, I've got a pretty strong mentality because I was able to complete a No Comfort Zone or 2 or 4 or 5. It comes down to it. Each series, like when you look at the seasons, is a No Comfort Zone. I think there's 5 right now that I've done. And we're getting ready to go into a 6. And I think season 6, which is what I'm going to start right after this podcast, is pretty exciting because the blueprint's always going to be the catalyst for everything that I do. That's mindset, that's goals, that's the necessary knowledge that you need to achieve your goals, and the fuel to get your goals where you need to go in life. And there's the success and failure cycle, the barometer of what you need to gauge if you're on track or not with everything in your life. And this blueprint, I created it for me. It was my blueprint to help me get out of my adversity and my averageness. What I didn't realize was how far it would push me. And my hope to you is that if you want more out of life and you're ready to get out of your comfort zone, if you're really ready, that you're going to reach out and say, hey, okay, I want to check this out. I want to see what this is all about. And let's do this journey together. I've had people ask me about the book. And I'm terrified, absolutely terrified to publish the book. Because then I put it all out there. I built this book up to be something maybe bigger than it is. To me, it's everything. And when it comes out, it might be like, that's it. It might be just an outline. It might be a lot of stories a lot of story and fanfare that I'm putting myself out there and being vulnerable. And people that I know might be like, really? I didn't know that. All you have to do is listen to the podcast and hear some of the stuff that I went through, that I put myself through, that I got myself out of. And you'll have a better understanding of what why I am the way I am, maybe. And the book might be just a different version of that. But why am I doing all this? Because I know there's somebody listening out there right now, maybe who's been in my shoes. Maybe you're going through it too. I've had people tell me that they've been depressed also. I've had people tell me that they've suffered from alcoholism too, or they know somebody that has. I have people that have told me that they've lost friends that they've drank with and partied with, and it hurts to not have them here anymore. I've had people that have been homeless, broke, divorced, not seen their kids. I've had people that have lost their jobs and have lost everything. I have people that have shared pretty deep things with me and have let me know that this podcast has helped them. And I'm grateful for that. I've also had people tell me that, you know what, maybe I shouldn't do this podcast because of where I'm at in my life. Maybe it's not a good idea to share these things. But I'm going to keep doing it because of the few people that have reached out to me and told me that this has had some sort of a positive impact on them. I'm grateful for that. There's also other people that currently work in the movie business that have told me that in some way, shape, or form, I've helped them get there, and that I'm grateful for. There's also another person that I know who's very near and dear to my heart who has told me that I better follow my life's passions because this is only one life we have to live. And this person quit everything that he knows, took one of the biggest risks, and is living completely in his passion, literally living 100% in his passion. He took every penny he had and he invested in himself 100%. 100%. And he's doing exactly what he loves. And he's killing it. He's doing absolutely great in it. And I am grateful that I get to talk to this person on a regular basis. And this person is just doing great. And I love hearing about that. And I would love to hear your story about what's going on with you and how you beat adversity, how you got out of your comfort zone, how you faced life and life's challenges and how you won, whether you beat addiction, whether you got the negative mindset from your divorce and you came out on top because you were a gentleman about it, you did the right thing, you took a step back, you recuperated, and you became the best father you ever could have been because you did the right thing and you didn't let your emotions get a hold of you. I want to hear the story about how you went from bankruptcy and homelessness to you got your shit together and you realized that, you know what, you have to put some disciplines in place and realize that this journey in life's really about making sacrifices and not about immediate gratification, and how you did hustle. You worked it out. You went from absolutely below zero and you became something. And now you support other people because you figured it out. That's what I'm looking for. And I hope you can reach out to me. This is a podcast I want you to really take to heart because if you're listening to this, you do mean something to me. You are worthy. You're worthwhile. And I do want to let you know that you do mean something to other people. I hope you got something from this podcast today, and I really do hope you get a chance to reflect on your day and what impactful things that you could do. There's important stuff to do, but let's look at the impactful things that you could do. And if you didn't do them today, well, let's do them tomorrow. There's always a chance you can be a better version of yourself, but you have to work at it. So I appreciate you taking time out of your day to listen to me rant about the No Comfort Zone and talk about something that I'm truly passionate about. We've got over 500 some episodes, and I'm going to start season 6 tomorrow, and it's going to be pretty exciting to talk about. We're going to talk about stories of adversity and success from other people's points of view and tie in some of my story of the No Comfort Zone, and that's where we're going to start. So I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. But, until we meet, whatever you have going on in your life, do yourself a favor. No matter what you're doing in your life right now, try to find a way for you to get out of your comfort zone and live on purpose.
Say goodbye.
Want more of the No Comfort Zone? You can follow Dan on Instagram and Twitter at NoComfortZone1.
Bye.
Or on the web at thenocomfortzone.com.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the No Comfort Zone podcast.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.